We're taking a look at the zero wide receiver draft approach. One angle specifically where you don't take a wide receiver in rounds 1, 2, or 3, but you circle back around and grab these two gentlemen in round number 4, round number 5. You're looking at the two guys, Christian Watson and Drake London, that make this possible. That means you go RB, quarterback, or Travis Kelce, quarterback, running back. You could technically abandon the approach and still deploy it, meaning you go running back, and your intentions to try and go another position, but you end up going wide receiver and still draft these two guys. A super team drafting London and Christian Watson. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.
Take a lap.
This approach is very, very easy. In a nutshell, you are trying to capitalize on two wide receivers, maybe 3, maybe 4. The two players at hand are London and Watson. You're trying to capitalize on two players that can win you a league because they can score and hang with the guys getting drafted in round 2. The wide receivers getting drafted in the top 25. These sneaky guys right here can ball and hang with those guys, enabling you to use your first, second, and probably third round pick on non-wide receivers. Or if you end up taking a wide receiver, like I just mentioned, with one of those 3 picks, you abort your cemented in plan, right? Because we don't do cemented in plans, do we? We go with the flow. You should always take a general idea into your draft and then decide to abort and go this way or that way depending on the flow. The flow should always dictate what you do. You never go,
I'm drafting a position, Smitty.
Smitty, I'm going to go ahead and take a running back no matter what happens and leave value on the table. Because that's what you're doing. If you go in with a set cemented in planning, you just don't deviate no matter what the flow does for you. No matter what unfolds on draft day, you are drafting a position. Congratulations, you're drafting a position and not a player.
Let's go! Mashed potatoes!
And that will never get you maximized value per draft selection. Christian Watson's the ultimate 4th round monster wide receiver grab. And so if we place him in round 4, it depends on your draft selection, obviously. You'd have to massage a lot of this around depending on your draft slot. But let's just go ahead and put him right in the middle. Let's use a middle draft slot, and then we can talk about the other draft slots. You take Watson in 4, you take Drake London in 5. Sometimes London falls to 6 in your grandma league, but we're going to call him round 5. This right here, this one strategy enables you so much flexibility in rounds 1, 2, and 3. And the beautiful part is you get to decide what you want to do in 1, 2, and 3 before you even get to this point. Meaning that London and Watson could become your number 2 and number 3 wide receiver if your plan is to abort your loosely based strategy of going non-wide receiver in rounds 1, 2, and 3. Let's start off with Bijan Robinson. Let's say you have a mid to late 1st round pick, and we're gonna go early on Bijan and make a fool of ourselves, right? We get Bijan at the bottom or mid round 1. We're gonna take Kenneth Walker in mid to late round 2. We're gonna take Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow a little early in round 3. We have successfully deployed the zero wide receiver approach through rounds 1, 2, and 3, making our number 1 wide receiver, Christian Watson, our number 2 wide receiver, Drake London, putting ourselves in a position that I believe we have 2 potential top 5 running backs. We have 1 potential top 3 or 4 quarterback, top 1 to 4 quarterback. We have 2 potential top 10 wide receivers. And if we get so lucky to get Kyle Pitts to fall to round 6, we have what is looking to me like one of the best rosters a human being could assemble from a mid to late 1st round draft selection. This is an absolute gem. And let's say, like I explained earlier, you want to deviate from your plan of attack, and let's say you go Bijan, Kenneth Walker, and you're going to say maybe Joe Burrow falls to my 4th round pick. Maybe I kind of want to go Joe Burrow. You can deviate and say, give me Olave in round 3, and you went zero wide receiver through rounds 1 and 2, and you started to deploy a different approach, and you went ahead and drafted Joseph Cigar Smoking Burrow in 4, and you got Drake London in 5, and so on. Or maybe you said this is the one draft, Smitty, where I'm going to go zero wide receiver through rounds 1 and 2, and try and do it in 3, but Olave's too solid there, Smitty. I'm going Olave, but I'm still sticking with my plan of going Watson and London. Look at this team. You get Trevor Lawrence later. You go some other crafty quarterback move like Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr combination later on in your draft, and you go Bijan, Walker, Olave, Watson, London. I love that. And maybe you abort the plan right here and you get Joe Burrow somehow in round 5 because your grandmas aren't paying attention in your league. This happens all the time. It doesn't happen in every draft. You might say, Smitty, Burrow never falls to 5. I see it all the time. There's comments everywhere. Smitty, I got Burrow at 5.4. Smitty, why is Burrow falling to the 5th round in my league? Hey, Smitty, why did Burrow go at 3.1 in my league? He's all over the map. It just depends on how early quarterbacks go in your draft. This is 100% doable. And the only one simple constant here is that you go in with a very loose base strategy and you adapt with the flow. Because if you adapt with the flow at every single pick, meaning every time you're on the clock, ask yourself, is this the best pick available? Not ADP wise. To you, is this the best draft selection available? Is Kenneth Walker the best pick at this point in the draft, regardless of what loosely based strategy you walk in with? Is Olave better than going a running back here or Joe Burrow? What's the likelihood of Burrow falling to 4? When you get to 4, what's the likelihood of Burrow falling to 5? What's the likelihood when you're on the clock in round 3? What's the likelihood that you're going to get Watson and Drake London? So you're going to go with a different approach instead of a wide receiver in round 3. And let's say you have a top of round 1 pick and you take Jamar Chase and you still get Kenneth Walker right here. And now you're looking at Joe Burrow here at the top of round 3, or you got to get lucky and he falls to round 4, which is totally doable. Now you can go with something like this, where you have Jamar Chase, you have Kenneth Walker, you go back to wide receiver in round 3, you get Joe Burrow, you've now got one running back. So you're going to go a little lighter RB2 in this approach, or a nice little draft strategy favorite of mine. We go Jamar Chase at the top of 1. We go Kenneth Walker at the bottom of 2. We go Breece Hall at the top of round 3. We go Joe Burrow at the bottom of round 4. And we go with London or Watson. I imagine it's going to be London who has the better chance of falling to you in round 5. Tell me that team is an absolute straight fire. Tell me you're not walking straight to the league safe office or to the bank and saying, look at this team I've got. Look at this team. I want to advance on my league safe money. And you sit there and you're knocking on the glass, like showing him a piece of paper, a handwritten napkin of your team. And you say, give me my advance on my money. And they wave you in, they buzz you in and say, look at this guy's team. How do you not win with this team? Look at the running back crew. 2 potential top 5 running back monsters in Hall and Walker, Jamar Chase and London. 1 top 1 to 3 wide receiver. 1 guy that could be 6 to 10. Kyle Pitts could be a top 3 tight end. Maybe you don't go Kyle Pitts. Maybe you don't like Kyle Pitts. That's fine. Round 6, you go whoever you want. This team right here is straight fire. Take your time when on the clock and make the right decision for your team, and don't lock into a cemented in strategy you're not ready to deviate from to make the best pick on the clock every time you're on the clock. But I'm telling you right now, you want to go 0 wide receiver to some degree. You want to go 0 wide receiver through the first 3 rounds and go running back, quarterback, running back, tight end, Travis Kelce, running back, whatever the case may be. These are your 2 dudes to target for a set approach. Now get out of here and get on over to thefantasyfootballshow.com for all your other bold predictions, trade calculators, rankings, one-on-one text advice. You know the deal. Get on over there to thefantasyfootballshow.com. Now, I'll see you live every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Every time news breaks, I just go live to talk about it. And then here's my graveyard night schedule when I go live at midnight most every single one of these nights. Yeah, we do it live all the time here. Now get out of here.
This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty.